Just breathe.
Eyes up to the heavens, ignoring stop signs. Blowing my credit on microaggression hotlines. I never said this before, but today I got time. You going back out of me when I finally got mine. Hey, and while you looking at me cockeyed, I'm watching my stock rise.
They go hard, bro. So, Ijale, man, I usually like to start an interview talking about like musical influences in your upbringing, but I think like your history is so interesting because I think your influences might come from your like past projects, because you have a few different things under your belt at this point, you know, like some musical and some not musical. So can you tell me about Spirals? Can you tell me about that project, the music you were making, the scene, and like how that influenced you?
Yeah, man, Spirals is like where I first started to cut my teeth, I guess. Like Kirk, I'm sure you've met Kirk.
Yeah.
In Sydney, like when we first started, it was just a jam. Like, you know, we just got together and like we just loaded all our stuff up and decided to have a little jam, and we ended up like going for like an hour straight, and then we kind of knew that this was something that we wanted to keep doing. So and then we got hella ambitious, you know, like we just tried to fit as much stuff in the sound stage as possible whilst it's still remaining cohesive and still carrying a vibe. Yeah, Spirals was like the first foray into doing this shit, man. It was like
your teeth in
my favorite thing for a long time is what I wanted to do for a long time.
From Spirals eventually emerged Crooked Letter in 2017, was it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think Heretics, that initial song, was quite a departure. Like, I'd seen you rap on Spiral sets, obviously, which was always good. You knew how to control a crowd, you knew how to flow, but like, you know, you started claiming these African samples, and you know, that discussion at the beginning of Heretics, I think, really set the tone for the rest of your solo work. You know, when you see, you know, people dancing, that's the melanin at work.
Imagine you, Christopher Columbus, you coming to the shores of South America. These black folks doing things that you ain't never seen. You didn't know people could do this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, fuck it up, fuck it up. Fuck it up, fuck it up.
Can you speak to the move from a group artist, you know, as a group, to Crooked Letter? Like, what inspired that, and why that tone to begin with?
I think at the time I was working like 9 to 5 at this law firm, in the mailroom of this law firm, and so I was just really time poor. That's mainly the reason why I was doing it. Like, you know, I had to make music at the time, because if not, I would have been just doing nothing except working at this fucking law firm and smoking weed to ease my frustration. But like, yeah, at that point, the corporate aspect of things really got me down. Like, the hierarchy in corporate, in the corporate world is a lot like a microcosm of classism, and like it's just like, it's ugly, man. And like, you know, that you see privilege and you see arrogance and you see prejudice in a very stark way and I started to see it like too much. And so to counteract that, I, you know, was just looking at like books from the 60s and 70s about Black culture and how Western society and concrete jungles and things, like they strip us of certain aspects that make us powerful, make us, you know, who we are, you know, and I was reading a lot of shit about, like, you know, Black people and melatonin in the pineal gland and third eye, and like how all of that is interconnected, and our spirituality is integral to our being as Black people. So in doing that, like I got more confident in myself, and so I really delved into the rapping and delved into the Nigerian samples, and yeah, Heretics was a celebration of that, because that was like one of the first ones that was like that really came together.
So on Heretics, and even in this project too, and we're gonna dive deep on the project coming up. But I noticed that you are so like proud of your family and the work that they do, and it's like such an important part of, I think, your musical identity. Like, even though it's a solo act, it kind of feels like a family business the way that you're operating. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Like, my family are full of hustlers, man. For like the most intelligent people I've ever met. Like, you know, you can't fuck around in my family, man. Like, when I finally decided to do music and stuff, like, I knew that, like, we grew up with institutionalized learning. You know, like, if you're gonna do something, and if you're gonna make that thing your life, you better get a degree. You better get that piece of paper. So, I think it helped me like attack music as an intellectual thing as well.
I heard you speak about going to school for music, and I was curious about that because, you know, it's also like, it's a institutional source of knowledge, right, where you're learning, but you were also saying it was also like a source of like microaggressions and all this institutional like unconscious bias that ended up inspiring the track Hotlines. So can you speak to the dichotomy of those structures that are supposed to nurture on one hand, but, you know, because of these implicit or even explicit biases, they end up, you know, nurturing, but also like being a source of trauma? Like, what is that like?
Oh man, it was really jarring when I first like got there and started studying. There was a huge couple of months there, you know, like, obviously being, you know, I think there was like 2 black people there.
Yeah.
Like, it was me and this homie of mine, Zan. He and I were the only, like, you know, people with darker skin there that I remember. And it showed. Like, we're doing audio production, and there wasn't, they realized that this new cohort of people were trying to make electronic music. They were trying to make bedroom producer type music, and that is predominantly run by genres that are hallmarks of black culture.
I just wanna fly away and never come back home, and only call my mama from the road. I just wanna fly away and never come back home, and shut it down like everywhere we go. I just wanna.
For a long time, I didn't feel like I could express myself at that school until a semester later. The first trimester was hard, but when they switched their shit up, and offered a music production course, which was kind of a hybrid between professional studio techniques and electronic bedroom producer kind of stuff. It was a really nuanced thing. They learned, for sure.
Well, we're up to the present. So the EP, Wildly Disparate Sounds, it was released in such a weird time, man, for you globally, and globally, like with the lockdowns and like with the rise of the global awareness of the Black Lives Matter movement and how important that is and how ingrained these structures are in. Like, were you writing any of these songs while this was happening, or was it one of those like cosmic timing things where, you know, this has been your lived experience for a long time and it just came out at the time?
Yep, I'd literally changed no lyrics in these songs for over a year, you know. Yeah. And I've been marinating on these songs for longer than that. Like, the first half of Sometimes I Wonder was written when I was like, you know, still at that law firm.
It's kind of like you ain't the same. Every single time you call, you said I'm angry, so you forgot the happiness. Gotta remember just to laugh again. There's so much extra shit going on. You don't need half of it, you're hemorrhaging.
Right.
So I was waiting for the right beat and for the right like project to speak on that stuff about. And then all of this stuff happened, and it was just the right time. Like, people were finally waking up in a way, or at least like rousing out of bed, you know.
For sure. Can you speak to the title of the EP? I know we've kind of touched on the touchstones of it throughout the conversation, but like I feel like this is the perfect distillation of your intention that was set with Heretics. Like, how much of this has been planned and how much of it just happens? Like, your use of samples, your discussions on race? Like, is it complete intent, or is it just you are a vessel for the art that comes out of you? Like, what is your approach?
I can say that there was a lot of intent with my decision. Sure, like I was about to like minimize this shit, but I did think a lot about it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought about the types of textures that I was using, and in the instrumentals as well. Like I geek a lot about the instrumentals, kind of more than I geek out about the rapping, to be honest. So that kind of laid a good foundation for me to literally just say exactly what I wanted. And I think the title of the EP was just to express the versatility that can come from someone who looks and sounds like me. People for the longest time just think they know me, dude, and it's like it's so annoying. Like, you know, just because I'm confident and black doesn't mean I'm a dick. Doesn't mean that I don't have respect and open-mindedness and depth and compassion, empathy. Like, people think that I'm not capable of those things.
I think we talked about the first verse on Sometimes I Wonder, but and that whole song is such an artistically defining moment. But I remember the first time I heard the second verse on that song, I messaged you like bro, like tears, hairs on the back of my fucking pasty neck. Like it was amazing, man. Like, it feels like one of those artistically defining verses, you know, like, oh, can you speak to the reflection that you were having when you were putting ink on paper, you know, with the pen? Like, what inspired that verse? And it's such a perfect way to close the EP. Was that intentional?
Yeah, for sure. Like, the first and the last track used some of the same textures and sounds and stuff.
Wow.
With intention, and they're both the most racially triggering songs on the album. Just to say that amidst all this other stuff, amidst relationships, amidst friends, amidst everything, the world that I live in is punctuated by race and the prejudices that are enforced upon me. So the song is just about, you know, me grappling with those things, not wanting to fall into stereotypes, and not wanting to believe the things that people said about me at a very young age. Like, inappropriate things were said to me at a very young age that could have fucked me up, you know. But no, I got to keep moving, man. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but like, as when I was really young, like when people, like adults and stuff, were telling me things about me and like pointing fingers at my parents, not making you know, me and my family and people who I knew feel safe and cared for in the face of racism. Like, some reason I didn't believe that. Like, I was like, nah, fuck that shit, that's wrong. Like, nah.
Easy, man. Now, okay, I to finish it off, let's carry on that tone, right? If you could tell everybody in the world one thing and they had to listen, what would that be?
Just because a black person is celebrating themselves doesn't mean that they're disparaging someone else. You know, like, we're just trying to self-actualize, and everybody deserves the opportunity to do that. You know, we're not trying to stomp on your dreams or take your job or take your girl. You know, just relax. Like, we're just out here trying to do it and build intergenerational wealth like you've had the opportunity to do for the last how long? You know, we're just finally getting the chance to. You know, we can be cool. Like, after we get ours, we can be cool and be on a level playing field, and you'll understand that all this pushback and all this vitriol would be unnecessary. Just, you know, just chill. Just chill with all that shit. You know, it's 2020. Let's get over this shit. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, bro. Thank you for your perspective. Thank you for the EP. Thank you for the conversation. I've been trying to line this up for years, and we've always missed each other. So I'm glad we could finally sit down and do it proper, man.
Eyes up to the heavens, ignoring stop signs. Blowing my credit on microaggression hotlines. I never said this before, but today I got time. You gon' regret out of me when I finally got mine. Hey, and while you looking at me cockeyed, I'm watching my stock rise. It's how we